I know one thing that you've mentioned about the offseason always is an important kind of reset point for you. You can kind of get away from the racetrack and kind of reset your mind. Has this offseason been that for you?
I mean, the offseason has been great. Yeah, I would say it's been similar to previous off seasons. So yeah, I mean, I don't have much to report from it. It's been good. Everything's been normal. I mean, we had another kid, so it's been a little busy. But other than that, everybody's healthy, which is like the only thing that matters at the end of the day. Is everybody healthy? Great, everyone's healthy.
We'll take one more in person and take a couple off of Zoom. Eric, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, you kind of mentioned the changes. Does this kind of feel like a new era of Team Penske now that, I mean, you're the longest tenured driver on the IndyCar side right now, and obviously you got the new balded Joey Logano on the NASCAR side, but it just kind of feel like the bald man.
New ball?
The bald.
Oh, yeah. That's incredible. I loved that. I didn't say that.
Like drop in there.
Does it feel that like it's kind of a new era, kind of Team Penske now?
Oh,
at this
yeah.
point?
There's a Lex Luthor. We're good to go. We got everybody here. We are the evil empire about to strike. We got the 24. Just wait. Just wait. We're coming full attack. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It feels. I don't. I want to tell you. Yeah, it feels all different. It feels similar in a lot of ways. When I go to the shop, obviously we've got some. We're going to have some changes, but it feels like business as usual in a lot of respects. So I'm excited. It's that time of year where, the cadence is starting to pick up, and we're going to at least finally get some tests here. February is always fun for that. You at least, you just don't really know anything until you actually get on track with everybody. And then you start, putting some pieces together and saying, all right, this is that, and this is what we still kind of need to work on. So, yeah, it feels just business as usual. Nothing really that new.
And what was kind of Phoenix like? Not necessarily as far behind the wheel, but it's having Will there, but he's with a different team after all these years and different fire suit. Just kind of what was that dynamic like of seeing 8 years with the guy and now he's with a completely different team?
That was weird. It was more weird seeing Ron. I was like, Ron, what the heck? Like, I wanted to debrief with Ron. I was like, yeah, so what do you think of this? We like this tire, right? It's just like, it was so silly. I'm like, well, what are you doing over there? Both him and Will. That was very weird. It's going to take some time to get used to that we're not on the same squad.
All right, we'll take a couple off Zoom. Let's start with Joey Barnes from motorsport.com. Good afternoon, Joey.
Hey, good afternoon, Dave. Hey, Joseph. I guess you talked about.
And we don't hear Joey. Let's try that.
How about now?
Yeah, we hear you now. Go ahead, Joey.
Good times. Technology is fun. But I guess you talked about the changes that we might see, some things that'll, remain the same, but there's going to be some subtle changes within Penske. I mean, what kind of things are those? Is it just the way you attack debriefs, the way you approach a race weekend? What are we talking about?
Yeah, I think along those lines, the way we debrief and probably communication flow, a lot of mundane things, a lot of like sort of process-driven things I think will be different, almost refreshed, if you will. So it'll just be a new workflow. Probably that's the best way to put it is there's like a workflow that'll be slightly different. And we'll have a little cadence that will be slightly different on a race weekend. And, hopefully it will be a good, positive change.
And I guess just, I don't want to call you the old guy on the team because you're only 35, but at the same time, once upon a time, you were the guy that could lean on Simon, on Elio, even Juan for the month of May, and obviously Will. Everything's kind of phased out, and now you're the guy that people are going to be leaning on. I mean, how's that transition been for you?
Fine. I mean, you know what? I am the old guy, totally. I mean, I can't believe I've been doing this for 15 years, but I've always had a strong sense of what I wanted. So that part's really not going to change. Whether I was young or now I'm older, I'll still have the same projection within my voice on what I think we need to be doing. So that part's going to feel similar.
And then just second here, just obviously, Pelot's been the guy to beat in the last few years. He's been on his run, but you had your highest finish coming out last year, coming up second. Just what do you think it'll take for maybe you to get over that hump and to win the series?
Get over the Palau hump? Yeah. Oh. Well, the guy, I mean, we keep saying that he can't raise the bar previous year, but I have no idea how he's going to raise the bar from last year. And if he does, then I think everyone is toast. So we got to keep chasing. We got to keep on going and seeing how we can make him sweat a little bit more. It's been too easy for him.
Let's go Eric and then David after that. Eric.
Yeah, I was looking last year for the top 5 points finishers, and 14 to 17 races were won by drivers 28 years or younger. You're among that crowd. Do you feel like this is a kind of generational shift in the series? Do you feel like kind of changing in the guard per se?
Yeah, I mean, young blood is always good to see, and you know, I do think we've got some new guys coming in this year as well. And thankfully, I'm still below 28, a couple more years. But I mean, it's good to see, but also for us to be racing against the guys that we've been, you know, looking up to for so many years, ever since we were younger. That's pretty special. That really is special to be able to race against them. And I mean, look at Dixie, look at Will Power. Will Power still winning races. Dixie's always there. Like, these guys are not just disappearing. These guys are winning races, and they're like fighting for the championship.
Some off of Zoom as well. Go ahead, Bruce.
Speaking of knowing what you have to do this season, is it good to know up front where you stand, that you've got to meet these markers to, because Tony was pretty frank in his assessment during the offseason of what he wants to see you do this year?
Yeah, he was quite frank about that in the media, for sure. I think, to me, it doesn't really change anything for me. The goal for me is always to finish as far up the grid as I possibly can and perform at my best all the time. So I show up every weekend, and you know, I'm pushing myself as far as I can and trying to perform the best that I possibly can. So it's not like, you know, if the goal is to finish in the top 5, I'm like, oh, okay, you know, I'll push a little harder to get there, and I don't want to finish 7th. I want to finish 5th. It's, you know, I want to finish as far up as I possibly can every weekend, and that doesn't change for 2026. So whatever the expectation is, I'm still going to be doing the same thing.
Does it also show that the competition level is so fierce that when a new guy such as yourself is trying to break in and climb the ranks, we've seen it with other younger drivers too, it's tough. It's almost like you have such a narrow window of opportunity to be able to excel in this series?
Yeah, it's extremely difficult. It's super competitive. It really is, you know, the best drivers and teams in the world, and it's an honor to get to compete here and get to compete against them, but it's certainly not easy. So you do have to be almost perfect every weekend, and being new, especially, you know, with such a long off season, so little testing, so little time in the car, it takes time. It takes time to learn, and there's no real way to accelerate that process. So that's part of the reason I'm so excited for 2026. I feel like I learned a huge amount in 2025. I'm lucky to have TK and, you know, great teammates and great people around me that are teaching me so much. So I feel like I'm in a much better spot going into 2026 than I was going into 2025 with all those people around me.
Zion.
Nolan, I know you said last week when Tony had made those statements publicly that you hadn't actually heard that from him directly. Just have you gotten the chance to speak to him since, and just what have those conversations been like?
I haven't really. He's been super busy. It's been a really busy off season with, you know, the new shop opening. We've got a lot of new people. It's been, I'm sure, very chaotic for him. And then I've been kind of on the sports car side, trying to stay in a race car and put myself in the best position possible going into 2026 from a driving standpoint. So I haven't really talked to him about that. But like I said, I don't think it changes a whole lot for me. And him having been a driver, I think he knows exactly how it feels, right? He knows that we're pushing as hard as we can and that we're doing our best every weekend. And I think he sees it from that side as well. So I have not talked to him directly about it. I'm sure we'll have a chat, but I'm not really super concerned about that. And I think he knows me well enough to know where we're at on that front. So there's not a whole lot to talk through. There's no issue. I'm excited to continue working with TK. I hope that he's excited to continue working with me, and I think we'll have a good season together.
Christian, you talked about just doing what you can to improve upon this year, coming off of a career best year. What are those things that you want to improve upon to have an even better year?
Yeah, I mean, I ended the season and left Nashville, feeling like at least we were a top 3 car in the championship. Obviously, we didn't get to finish Nashville, which was very unfortunate. But just thinking about the progression we made throughout the year and how we got better as a group. Obviously, Graham just mentioned it. We lost Brian, who was on my car, and I don't see that really affecting us because the rest of the group is the exact same. And I think just carrying that momentum going into 2026 and continue the work that we're doing.
That kind of leads into my next question. Just how has your comfortability grown now going into your second year with the team?
I mean, I would say I was very comfortable from the first day in St. Pete's. We started the season a lot better than I think we expected, but it was the hope. I think we started exactly where we hoped to start. And I remember being vocal about it last year that I wasn't going to spend a year in the team trying to figure out how to get fast. It was we want to be fast from the get-go, and I think we were. We had 2 podiums within the first 3 races. We were right there, and the 26 kind of goal is obviously to finish in the same area as a bare minimum of where we finished 2025. So it kind of leads back to we got to continue the momentum that we gained throughout 25 and start where we left off in 26. And I think we have a lot of good to come in 26.
Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, you're clearly a momentum guy, right? So when we start the season the last couple of years, it's kind of been start, stop, but here we got 4 races in the month of March. How important is it to get off to a good start? Although knowing those 4 races are different than what they've been the last couple of years over your career.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to St. Pete, which we had a good weekend at last year. Obviously, we were on the wrong strategy to win the race, but we led half the race for a first timer in the team, and we weren't really expecting that. And I think we carried that momentum into the next 2 races, and obviously we're on the podium. I know as Aaron McLaren, we're extremely fast in thermal, but there's still this one guy that we got beaten by every time, and for us this year, it's kind of minimizing his wins, right? And I don't think he's going to have the same season this year as he had last year. I think everybody has spent the entire offseason trying to catch up. And I think we've worked harder than everybody else. And therefore, I think we'll see some good results. But momentum is good. And I think it's going to be good for most drivers to have an oval before the 500. I think we were missing that last year. And I think that the last couple of years in IndyCar, we've raced harder and harder on ovals, which I think is good for us now to have Phoenix coming in before the 500.
Off of Zoom. Chris, I'm going to walk this back to you, buddy. Go ahead, Chris.
Thanks. Alex, when you had your postseason debrief meeting with the team and all, what was the general feeling like? Did y'all feel like y'all accomplished most of what y'all set out to do, or how did that work exactly?
Yeah. Yes and no. I think we were pleasantly surprised with some aspects of the year and felt we came up short in some others, which, I mean, is probably the same for every team, right? I think what was generally quite good was qualifying performances. And then at least on the 20 car side, and then a little bit of a disappointment on race day, just not quite turning the decent starting spots into big results. So there's been a lot of focus on that and our approach to how you manage a race, and there's been a lot of investment and time put into what we're doing from a pit crew standpoint and the training that goes into that. And the whole organization is just really looking at all of the boxes and making sure that we're ticking as many of them as humanly possible. Ted has given a very clear direction and expectation of what he wants from the whole team, drivers included, and he wants a certain standard upheld, and that's cool to be a part of, because there's an expectation. There's some pressure that goes along with that, but in the best kind of way. So we're all excited for the opportunity, and like I said, it's hard to really talk about it too much because this is all just in conference rooms and meetings you've had. It's not until you get to the track where you can really all put it into action.
And then the team had a big change last year, with you coming in, with Ted coming in, with everything remaining, for lack of a better term, the same going into 2026. How much does that help, having just continuity where everything's right here, right here, right here? It's all the same.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's an often underrated thing in motorsports to have the same groups of people working together from one year to the next. So we certainly feel like we can hit the ground running in a much stronger fashion than we did at this point last year. It was still a lot of newness trying to come together. So yeah, we're cautiously very optimistic about next year.
Graham, talk about Mick so far. Louis mentioned earlier he's brought some ideas to the table already. So kind of talk about how maybe refreshing it is to have a teammate that's kind of all in on the project this early on at RLL.
Well, so I haven't necessarily, had the same sort of thing as far as ideas and stuff. But what I would say is this: I had dinner with him last night. We spent 3 hours together, and he's a really impressive kid. I think he's very, very humble, very down to earth, very easygoing. Probably be fairly quiet, at least to get going for many of you guys. But I think he's all in on this concept. He spent a lot of time in America the last few years. His sister's here full time. There's a large intrigue and a large desire to be here, be a part of this. And he's asked me about oval racing. I told him last night, I said, Mick, just listen to me. If the car's good, you'll have more fun oval racing than doing anything in your life. And it's a blast when it's right. Not so good when it's not, obviously. But I hope that we can provide a really stable footing for Mick to go and kick some ass. I mean, he's a tremendous guy, and obviously, and he knows. I told him last night, like many in my generation, I grew up idolizing his dad, and a lot of my drive to get into racing may not even been as much from my dad as it was his dad. And I think probably most everybody would say that here, drivers at least, that grew up the same time I did. And for him and for his mom, for the whole family, for everybody to be as humble as they are, is really refreshing. And I think it's super cool. So I'm excited to have him part of our organization, and I hope he's here for a long time. So let's make sure we're all welcoming and kind, for sure.
So how much pressure do you feel that you're trying to learn a new series and also be sure that this is the start of a long career for you?
I'm not worried, to be honest. I think from what we showed in testing, we know we can do some good lap times and we have speed. And I think for sure some tracks it's going to be better than others. That's just how it is. But I think the work we've done with Dale Coyne Racing and also with the partnership with Andretti, I think will be good. It's just about doing the work as I've done in Indy Next, doing the prep work, staying on top of things, and keep my feet on the ground and just do the work. I think that's going to be the main thing, and then we'll see how we get on. But obviously, I want to be in the IndyCar series, and I want to stay here and do good. So hopefully we can have a good start to the season in St. Pete, and then we'll take it from there.
And Dale Coyne seems to be pretty good at giving the entryway for young drivers to get in to start an IndyCar career. And what do you see as being the biggest reason why he's so good at that?
Yeah, I mean, I think just the team, they are like a family, I feel like, in certain ways. And I think with Dale as well, he's got tons of experience. And I think with a lot of young drivers coming from Indy Next and Indy Lights up to IndyCar, he puts his belief in those young drivers. And I think that gives them opportunity and some hope to do well. And hopefully we can do that again this year. I feel like we have a good opportunity to do well. So yeah, we'll see how we get on.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Dennis, I was just curious, what has your preparation just looked like in making the jump up from next to the IndyCar series?
A lot of training, physical training. From testing last year, at the end of the season last year, I could feel that I was in good shape, but there were some things I needed to work on. So just been working hard, up to 2 times a day, really, most of the time, with training sessions. Just making sure I'm ready for it this year, with a bit of a buffer as well. So hopefully it's not going to be any problems there. Otherwise, it's just been looking at videos, tons of videos, lots of hours of that from every race weekend last year and the years before, making sure I'm looking at stuff with strategies. Obviously, there's a lot of new stuff this year for me, so it's just about trying to go through everything and adapt quickly when we get on track.
What challenges do you anticipate in this first season?
Hopefully none, but for sure there's going to be some. I think for me the main thing as well is the ovals for sure. Just trying to get as much as possible of experience on them, and learn as much as possible from the team and from everyone around. I feel like we're in a good windows for some tracks, and some tracks we might have to work a bit more as a team to get further up. So again, we'll see how we get on once we start the season, but I'm feeling good about starting on a street course, for example. I feel pretty confident there, so hopefully we can kick it off on the right foot.